We hunt for treasure, stacking them in piles. Hustling hard, making deals all day. Flipping finds, turning profit our way. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest. Learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name. Reselling dreams, winning the game. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest. Learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name. Reselling dreams, winning the game. Pure Hustle Podcast.
Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Rolando, and we're here for another live Tuesday minisode.
That's right. We're just going to call them the live minisodes because, sometimes Monday, sometimes it's Tuesday, but we are always consistent in bringing you the content that you want to hear. And today we're going to be talking about the drama unfolding in the UK with the new eBay changes in their buyer fees. And many of you are listening and saying, I'm not in the UK. Why do I care? Well, we're going to talk about that today too, as far as, is this something we see potentially coming to the US? Is this a testing of the markets and seeing how things work? Is this, what is going on here? And so we're going to be talking about this, and we kind of introduced this topic back in October, but now the details have finally come out on it. They kind of said this is something they were considering, and we talked about that with the the changes that came right on the heels of the changes Mercari had originally made. And so we looked at that, and it's here. It's happening. So Orlando, what's going on in the UK with their buyer fees?
All right, so as you said, some of this we already discussed, and to be real, I did apologize to Mike before the podcast because Mike's like, we already talked about this. I'm like, no, we didn't. No way, this is brand new. And sure enough, we pulled up notes from previous episode. But this, I would say, is part 2 of that announcement, because they were thinking of buyer-seller fees, and now it is official. They are doing it. And on top of that, they're adding a few things to it. But yes, Mike was right. All right, so this comes from, let me pull up the site. There's a few sites that are discussing this. And I appreciate PTC saying, hey, it's only in the UK. And that is correct. It is only in the UK. But just like other changes that happen, I do anticipate we may see this here. And I would say I'm kind of shocked, because I felt like everybody watched Mercari go down in flames and have to 180 on this. But somehow eBay is going to be different. I don't know. It says eBay has finally... sorry, I had just pulled the site. eBay has finally decided to announce what is taking place. And so what they're doing is they're moving to introduce buyer fees. And so what does this look like? Well, it's a 4% fee. Let me read some of the basics here. It's a 4% fee that is being introduced, and this fee will end up providing some other things. So, for example, there's supposed to be like a 24/7 line, which I think is kind of fascinating, because there is somebody said you have too many coulds. Is that a typo, or is that could?
It is a typo. Okay. I adjusted I reworded the title a few times to make it as spicy as possible. So before this is finally published, I will update that. So thank you.
Well, the only reason I caught that comment was I keep saying this could happen, this might happen, right? Which is, I may be saying that too much, but yeah, one of the things they're saying, hey, we're going to add this. We're going to add these buyer fees. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to provide more for, buyers, so they feel safe about what they're buying, which I thought was kind of interesting, especially with the 4%, especially with the fact that, they already removed all the seller fees for private sellers. And in case you're wondering, what is the difference between a private seller and a business seller? We're not experts. We're not in the UK. But from what I understand is if you sell every once in a while, you don't have like this huge business, eBay business, then you are considered a private seller. But if you have, I think it's like 400 plus items, and you're always selling, then you are considered business seller. So this doesn't affect you, but I don't know. This may be something you have to think about when you list your items. So first thing, and I'll stop talking so Mike can interject here, is they're saying that there's going to be now a 24/7 customer support line and a chat that you can access on eBay. Which, wouldn't that be nice? Like in the state side, I have people all the time that are like, hey, there's an issue here, can you help me resolve it? And I'm like, I can't really do anything. Like you have to call eBay. And they're like, well, how do I call eBay? What number do I call? Right? Or, wouldn't it be nice if we could just go on chat and get things resolved? So I think that's a win, but I don't know about everything here.
And by chat, let's be honest, that they mean they're going to probably have an AI taking care of most things, and only like something after you've like yelled at the AI chatbot 100 times saying like, no, I need to speak to somebody. Will you finally really speak to somebody? But yeah, so they're including this buyer protection fee. And again, this is only for if you're a buyer and you're buying from a private seller and not, I don't know what the other terminology, what's the term for somebody's not a private seller? Business seller?
Business seller, yes,
okay.
Correct.
So what that's going to do is it's really going to segregate the listings. Like people are going to like be able to quickly see, and maybe in some ways it's a good thing. Like, because when you're buying something on Amazon, again, we talked about this a lot. A lot of people don't realize when you buy something on Amazon and you're purchasing it from them, you're not always buying from Amazon. Sometimes you're buying from Orlando in San Diego, who's shipped something into Amazon and then is now going to them, right? So, or maybe you're shipping straight from your house to them if it's merchant fulfilled. So a lot of times people don't realize that difference, but if you make it very clear where they see like, hey, I can buy this item or I can buy this item and it comes with a buyer protection fee, but because it's coming from a private seller, not a business seller. So basically you're segregating and saying like, here are the real stores on eBay. And then here are just people, and you got to be careful when you're buying from the random person who's just selling. So we're going to charge you a little bit, so that way if something goes wrong, you're protected. And it's going to be spun in the way of like, it's okay, you can buy from them, even though they're not as trustworthy as the big name store, because you pay this little fee, and it's going to, you're going to be protected. So it's going to try to be spun that way. But I think what it's going to really do in a lot of ways is it's going to force the private sellers to lower their fees. I mean, they don't have fees. So it's going to force them to lower their prices. So they're going to have to significantly now lower their prices to be competitive with the business sellers. Because if I can buy from a business seller and I'm not going to have to pay a fee, well, you're going to have to be quite a bit cheaper in order for me to pay a fee to buy from you, especially because in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this even like, is this going to be safe? Like, is this a good item? I don't know if I trust your store. So it's going to, I think, really boost the business sellers, and it's going to really push down the people who are supposedly benefiting from there's no fees. You don't ever have to pay a fee if you're a seller. That's kind of one way I'm looking at it is, think about this. Like if you're on, X, or you're on Instagram, or you're on whatever social media platform, even YouTube does this. Somebody can put out incredible content and it gets almost no views. It just doesn't get, it's just not pushed by the algorithm. And somebody else with a really big account can put out mediocre content and it's just being pushed and shared by the algorithm. And I think in some ways that's how eBay is going to use this, is because it's going to boost those business stores. Even though they're paying fees to sell as a business store, it's going to boost those stores up because people are more likely, I think, to buy. And we talked about this a lot on our first episode on this. I think people are more likely to buy if they see less fees, even if the total price, the bottom line price that they're spending is the exact same on both items. If they're seeing a breakdown of fees, I think that's a turnoff to a lot of buyers.
No, I agree. I'm trying to see where the benefit is on this, but I don't. And here's the other one, and I hope this doesn't come to the States, because this is what Poshmark does, and this is one of the things that I'm just not a fan of it. Because on eBay, I used to love. Remember the good old days? I always say the good old days. Remember the days that you can sell, and I didn't like PayPal, by the way. So we always complain about things and then go away, and now we're like, oh man. But it used to be nice on eBay when you could sell something and it instantly went to your PayPal account, so you instantly got paid. Well, now on eBay, right, it's usually like a 2-day holding period. Well, now it could be even longer for UK private sellers. It says, to enhance transaction security, eBay will delay releasing funds to private sellers until 2 days after delivery confirmation. This ensures buyers receive items as described before payment is finalized. It's a lot of time. It's not only when it gets there, It's 2 days, right, that the private seller has to say, hey, I got my money. That's a long amount of time. Where on eBay, what I love is, I could ship something ground and it takes a week and a half, and within 2 days I have that money, right? And I can cash flow that money. So be aware of that, I do. If we have any UK listeners here, let us know. Let us know here in the chat. Do you try to find a way to continue being a private seller? Right? Is that to your advantage, or is it better to just continue being a business seller just because, I don't know, you get pushed more in the algorithm maybe on eBay? I'm not sure what exactly happens. And again, the reason we're talking about all this is it's very possible this could come to eBay. Maybe eBay will come to a place that, hey, we are not going to pay out people until the item arrives, or 2 days after they arrive, based on the former policy that is set up here.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how it's been a lot of times with I think it was eBay like that at one point. Like the item had to be shipped. I know, like, some platforms kind of are that way. Like it has to be confirmed before the payment is released, and it makes sense. I mean, it's good for us to be able to cash flow those items or that money quickly when we sell that item. Now I can immediately go out and source more. But I understand, especially if it's a private seller, in the sense of, hey, they're only selling 1 or 2 items a year. We really want to make sure that these sellers are getting these items to their customers, and then it's not a fight. Because there is one other thing we don't have on here, but I wanted to quickly bring up that is a concern for private sellers as well. So if you're a private seller in the UK, they released in October, when they announced this initially starting, that there was going to be a dispute fee. So it sounds like, hey, there's no fees to list, there's no final value fees. But they also say this, and this may have already been the policy, but I don't think it was, because it was.
This is wild if this is true.
So it was mentioned in there in the initial like explanation of this new fee structure. So it says, if you're found responsible for a chargeback or other disputed amount as per our policies, we charge, and I'm not sure the exact currency that they're using in the UK. I'm foolish, I guess. But anyways, I did the conversion, and it ends up being close. It's like almost $21, like $20.97 fee for each dispute. So essentially, and I don't know what they're considering a chargeback or other disputed amount, but anytime there's a dispute, so I'm assuming this might have to do with items not as described, item didn't arrive, situations like that, you're going to be paying a $20 fee. So if you get 1 or 2 of those, and now all of a sudden you're $40 out because of a couple of disputes that you're having to pay this dispute fee for as a private seller, that can totally offset the, well, at least I list these things for free. You might as well have, been selling a little bit more, been in on a business account, and not have to worry about those dispute fees. Can you imagine if they had a dispute fee for us, like as sellers in the US? It'd be brutal.
People would try to unionize, like people are doing on Amazon. Like, I don't know that. But I got to tell you, eBay is good as far as in the States. Like they've always, like recently, I had an item as a toy that had sold, and it got stuck somewhere in Chicago, never made it to it. It didn't even leave the States, but it was an international sale. And the person opened up a case and said, hey, this item never got to me. And guess what? eBay took care of it. I didn't lose any money. I didn't get any negative feedback. And I will, I know sometimes we have negative things to say about eBay, but this feedback change, which isn't not really what we're talking about, but they have been really good about honoring, like if you do your due diligence to get the item, to provide great customer service, you're accurate in your title and description, and you get some kind of defect, whether it's late shipping or whether you get an INAD or whether you get a negative feedback, eBay's been really good lately about taking care of it. Like they recognize. And so don't be afraid of resolving that. But like, yeah, if they started adding the dispute, I don't know. I want to see that verified. That's the thing. I know it's out there, but I want somebody who's in the UK or somebody somewhere who listens to this at some point in time, tell us in the chat that this is real. Because I just don't.
I mean, it's on the eBay site, man. What are you talking about? Of course it's real.
I know. Do we say $21?
Yeah, it's I'm like I said, what does the UK use? Is it the euro? Is it the pound? Is it ducats? I'm not sure. All right, pounds. So yeah, it's a 16. The actual fee is 1680 pounds.
That's just wild to me. So, all right, yeah, and as always, they also what they're making mandatory if you're a private seller, and I think anybody who's listening to this, even in the States, right, it says private sellers will be required to use eBay's simple delivery system, offering competitive rates and protections against loss or damage during transit, meaning that you get the shipping from eBay. And listen, if you're brand new and you're listening, all your labels should be purchased from eBay for two reasons. One, it provides you greater protection because it's from eBay. If there's ever a dispute, you bought the label on eBay. There's only so much you could do. And two, there's usually some kind of discount. And as you sell longer, as your store grows, as you have more sales, and you become a top-rated seller, and all these different things, you get some crazy discounts on shipping. So always print your labels via eBay. The only exception would be pirate ship. Sometimes pirate ship may be cheaper, or sometimes you're unable to ship something directly from eBay, but you can make the sale on eBay. If you want to listen more of what I mean by that, check out our long form podcast that's dropping Wednesday. I talk about how I had to ship a hockey stick to Canada. I couldn't do it by charging shipping on eBay, but I was able to do it via pirate ship. And it's interesting. Luke here says, I agree, even pirate ship isn't worth it anymore. And that, you know what, there is some truth to that, because there used to be deep discounts of pirate ship in comparison to eBay, but now eBay has caught on to some of those deep discounts. But there are scenarios where an item can't, eBay international shipping won't ship on an item to a certain region, and pirate ship is able to come in, and you're able to not only get that sale, but you're still able to sell it at a great discount. So if you're brand new, pirateship.com, make sure you check it out. It's funny because not a lot of people know about pirate ship, right? Like I've been to the post office, right? And, you get people that aren't sellers and they're in line. They're like, oh, I can't believe it's like $50 for me to ship this item. And I go, hey, have you heard of pirateship.com? Pirate Ship should be paying us for every customer we send over. I'm like, if you go to, and they go on their phone and they're like, what? And they put in the dimension. They're like, this would cost me, a third of what the post office is costing me. And they're just blown away. So, check it out.
It'd be funny to stand out in front of like a UPS or USPS, office or store with like a big poster board that's like, go to pirateship.com instead.
Now, Luke brings a valid point, because I do ship about the same amount of items. Like, yeah, that
is fast and efficient.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if there's a major exception, right? If there's something crazy, like you don't get that. Sometimes on eBay, there's certain items that don't get that deep discount. And I'm not sure why. It's worth it to you. Or if it's an item that the eBay international shipping refuses to ship, it's worth it going over to pirate ship. So, hey, let's see what happens. This was not fake news. This was us just saying, hey, this is what's happening in the UK. It may be coming our way. We just want you to be aware. But to me, the solution always is, when it comes to these things, buy low and sell high, because when you buy low, you have a lot of room to negotiate, regardless of the policies that come down on whatever platform you're selling. Thank you, everyone that's joining us. Thank you for the chat. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling late.
Peace.